All right, hey guys, welcome back to my maybe monthly vlog. It's been a couple weeks, months, couple more than a couple weeks. It's been a couple months. It's been about 2 months since we did the last one. So before we kind of get into the topics for today, I just want to thank everybody for all of the comments, all the engagement, all the feedback I've gotten on all the playthroughs that we've been doing. It's been a lot of fun for me to hear you guys' opinions on stuff and suggestions for legendary playthroughs. I've had a lot of fun with the requests for certain setups for legendary. Had a lot of fun with that stuff. So keep those coming. And then with the Marvel Champion stuff, just getting to know some of the nuances and rule stuff with that. Had a lot of fun with that stuff. I don't ask for this typically, but if you do watch my videos and you do enjoy them and you aren't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. I'm close to 1,000. I like to hit that benchmark. And I think we should be able to by the end of the year, especially because I'm at 958, so shouldn't be too far from it. We're not too far from 1,000. So if you do like my videos, please, yes. And honestly, with that, if there's anything you guys would like to see out of my videos that you don't see, or there are things you don't like about my videos that you think I could do better, please tell me. I'm always open to feedback and constructive criticism, and it should be, just so you can be better. For me, I really enjoy playthroughs, and that's kind of the thing of the channel. So, I'm not really into doing... I do like unboxing of stuff, but I'm not a big review person. I'm not a big rules person. I'm not a big teaching person. I like doing playthroughs, and that's kind of the thing of the channel. I'll go over how things work as we're doing stuff if it's the first time doing something, but for the most part, I just like playing stuff, and so I got a camera on while we're playing. It's really what it is. Kind of one of the first topics I want to talk about really relates back to Marvel Champion stuff, sort of, but really in a general sense, are rules and rules mistakes and pointing rules mistakes out. And my main thing with it is, especially with Marvel Champions, is because I feel like there's a lot of nuances and a lot of like interactions that are not straightforward. I do appreciate when those are pointed out to me, especially because I feel like those pointing out rules mistakes to people and kind of commenting on them can go one of two ways. And I can't think of an instance where it goes in a poor way. So you can either be a jerk about it or kind of be mean about it in the comments. And I've seen that on other people's videos. And I see it very rarely. So this isn't indicative of anyone here or anyone in the larger sense of other people's videos. But you can do that to someone, and it's not great to talk to people that way. So my community and the people commenting on my videos have always been pretty pleasant and very constructive. And I think it's important to point those things out when you can, because for me, it's a big learning opportunity when someone points that stuff out. And then I personally learn a lot of games from watching people play. I enjoy watching playthroughs of stuff, so I learn a lot from that. So I actually will scroll the comments to see if there's a rules mistake when somebody points one out, so that when that comes up in the playthrough, because like 99% of it's going to be fine. 95 to 99% of it's going to be fine typically. There may be a small rules error that gets pointed out when somebody goes and does their Klingon subtitles, or by the comments, and somebody says, hey, should have been this or that. I think that's incredibly positive and constructive to do, especially when you're trying to learn something. So please keep it up. We're not perfect. I'm not claiming to be perfect. None of us are perfect. And I'm sure if you're playing a game, especially if you're playing a solo game, and you make a mistake, you just, whoops, I'll fix that here or there. I'll go back and do this or whatever. I think it becomes a problem for the viewer and for the person making the video if the rules mistake is so glaring that it would have changed the outcome of the game significantly. I think that's when that happens, and it's happened to me a few times with Legendary, I've pulled the entire video down because the decision was made or a thing happens that completely alters how the outcome of the game would turn out. That's when I think it's like, you messed up, and then in that case, I pull it down. Typically, if there's a rules mistake, somebody points it out to me, we acknowledge it, and just keep it moving, because it's typically not game-breaking. But I've had instances, and I try my best to not have them happen, but I've had instances where I've been doing a playthrough of something, I thought a rule was one way, And like 40 minutes into the playthrough, I realized it was incorrect, and I've had to scrap the whole thing. And that's happened more than once, and not with Legendary, or not just with Legendary. I've had that happen with a few games, and especially on games that like I don't know the rules all that well. So I don't want to put out something that if this is the only video for that game I put out, the rule's completely wrong. It just ends up being bad for everybody. So I appreciate that when you guys point that stuff out, especially too if you timestamp it. That's really great. I know it's not always easy to timestamp stuff, or it isn't always to your thought because you're just typing on your phone or computer. But if you timestamp it, it's awesome because then the specific rule can be pointed out at that moment, and that's a good thing for the viewer if they're learning something or trying to understand something, and it's good for me to know to go back and say, okay, I know this was wrong. Or on the opposite end, if I'm the viewer for someone else watching something, it's always nice to know that's the moment they're talking about. That's what they should have done this, and then you kind of can internalize it a little bit better. So thank you guys for that feedback and pointing that stuff out to me. It's learning. It's always a learning thing for me. And I'll do my best. I always do my best, but it's just, we're not perfect. So it's going to happen. And when you have 100 board games around you and you're trying to memorize all the rules, it's going to happen, especially if you don't play it a lot. So, but yeah, there's that. That's kind of the one topic I wanted to kind of talk about really briefly, not anything too super serious. The main thing, though, was we did a lot of stuff in January for Legendary. Did a lot of stuff to the point that it got me kind of tired. We did 12 playthroughs in January because we did every single episode of What If plus the 3 for Ant-Man and the Wasp. So it's just a lot. I think the Ant-Man and the Wasp stuff wouldn't have felt so bad had I not just done 9 episodes of What If basically in a row. So I got really burnt out on that. And then at the same time, I was trying to go through all the champion stuff because I wanted to play through everything before Apocalypse came out, and now we're kind of on that point, and I have done that since. So I was wanting to do champions, but I felt like I had to do Legendary, if that made sense. Now I'm to the point where everything's even keel, and I've got everything open and played everything, so we're good. I can go back to my regularly scheduled stuff, but I wanted to kind of give myself a break in March because January had a lot, and then February we did some solo Sundays of Wormspan, of Castles of Burgundy, of we did Astronites, and we did Imperium Horizons. And Imperium Horizons, I've actually been playing a ton of that, not to my benefit because I've been losing a lot, but I've been playing a ton of Imperium Horizons because I really enjoyed it in Classics and Legends. They were some of the first games I had gotten into when I started solo board gaming. I told this story maybe once or twice before, but I only played Legendary for a very long time. It was the only modern board game that I played for years. And then in like 2020, it might have been like the end of 21 or end of 22, I got into more. I think it was beginning of 22. I started getting into other stuff. And actually, funny enough, most of the games that I started playing at the beginning of 22 that were solo games that are not Legendary, I don't even own anymore. So that's kind of funny. But Imperium Horizons and Imperium Legends were some of the first, and I really enjoyed them and played a lot of them then. That's a rule set that I had more or less internalized that I could play without much issue. There are still, with the Horizons, there's some new stuff, so it's been taking me a minute. So I want to do some more Horizon or Imperium stuff just going forward. So I may start throwing that into the rotation of more frequent videos. So they may get released on other days. But anyway, I did a lot of that in February, and so well, I guess maybe the Imperium Horizons thing was a little bit into March. But March, I was going to reserve just for Legendary and for Champions because I knew that the Bond set was coming out in March. And so when that came out, I wanted to have enough steam to be able to cover that fully. So I should be getting that soon. Upper Deck should be sending that to me. So I should be getting that soon. And when that comes, we'll do an unboxing of the Bond set. We'll do playthrough or two. I don't know what's going to be in there. I have not looked at any of the previews because they've put out some previews. I want to be completely surprised, so I haven't looked at the previews. So we'll do some stuff. We'll do at least one playthrough and kind of my thoughts on the set. I'll do some playthroughs off camera just because that way I can kind of get used to it. But we'll do an unboxing of it. We'll do a playthrough of it. I'll give you my thoughts of that, and we'll do that. And then I'm hoping within the next month or so after we should be seeing the unbox. We should be seeing 2099. So hopefully we get to see that stuff soon. But yeah, Bond. If you guys haven't played Bond and you're interested, I do have a few playthroughs on the channel. Bond is great. When it comes from like an IP perspective, I'm not the biggest James Bond fan. I'm fairly neutral, maybe a little above neutral. Like the movies are fine. Like I enjoyed the movies, and I've really only watched the Daniel Craig films, and maybe one or two. Maybe what's the one with Halle Berry from like with I don't even remember the guy's name. It's like Die Another Day. I may have watched that one, but really not a big. I would have never been like, yes, James Bond, give me that. Like, whatever. And generally speaking, mechanics are the thing that are over everything. I can kind of forgive artwork and forgive theme to some extent if the mechanics are incredible. And so mechanically speaking, it's my favorite Legendary game aside from Marvel. I think it has some of the most fun mechanics and some of the most interesting mechanics when it comes to variability and just things to consider. Like it's awesome. So if you guys haven't played Bond Legendary and haven't seen what it looks like, go check out the videos on my channel. Go check out just search them on YouTube. There's plenty. It's a lot of fun. So with that being said, I kind of wanted to move into my kind of big topic of the video, which was what is your wish list IP to have a Legendary game made from it? So what IP would you like to see be made to a Legendary game? And I was been thinking about this, and I think the one for me is probably Transformers. I think doing Transformers Legendary, and I think you could do it. I wouldn't want it as an Encounters game. I would want it as a normal Legendary game, because it seems like those are not as, like, I feel like Encounters tend to be more thematic, and I don't think you need to be as thematic with Legendary Transformers. It's basically, you can basically do it like Marvel. Like, you've got a bunch of villains, you've got a bunch of heroes. The main thing that I want to see, though, is the transform keyword. And I want to see I want a game of around transform, basically, because transform is my favorite keyword from Legendary. Whether it be the transforming heroes, the transforming masterminds, the transforming schemes, transform is my favorite keyword that they've added to that game. So to have a whole game with that as the core thing would be a lot of fun. And I think it could be going around in a couple different ways. So I think you could do it either the same way it's done in Marvel, where every hero has their cards, and then they have a card that transforms. So you have your 5 commons, your two commons and 5 copies of each, your one set of uncommons for 3, and your rare. And you have one of those sets of cards, it transforms. So in the same way Marvel does, you something triggers it. You have so much recruit transforms. You have 2 special icons, they transform. You have so many something. There's an effect. You swap that card out with another card, and maybe that card's like, it's, whatever vehicle form, and then you swap it out for the robot form. And you don't have to do it for all the cards in that person's kit. You just have a certain thing that, like, that's their card and it transforms, and this is what this does. That's one option. And then the masterminds would be the same, where there's like Megatron's got a vehicle form and a robot form. Unicron's got a planet form and a robot form. So on and so forth. You flip it back and forth. You could even do maybe like do something with like the combiners, right? So like maybe one of them is like, if all 4 of the Constructicons are in play, flip this and it becomes the big guy or something. I don't know. I'm not a game designer. But something like that. You could do that, have a lot of fun with that in that way. And then like the villain groups could be like Starscream and Jet form, Starscream robot form. So you could actually double up and have your villain groups not have to be so many characters, or and then you can have like 4 of them are the robot forms and the other 4 are their vehicle forms. So you could definitely play with that a little bit and kind of get more for your thing. And they do different things based on it. So like there may be a general thematic thing of vehicle forms. Maybe they move down the city faster or something, or I don't know. Something like that. The other implementation you could do for your vehicle form and your robot form is have an avatar type character like the Encounters games. So you can borrow that from Encounters and have an avatar character that maybe if you are your card, like once per turn, you're in vehicle form or you're in robot form. And then you have card effects that have an additional bonus for being in a certain form. So you have your typical 3 cost 2 recruit card, and that's it. And maybe in vehicle form, if you're in vehicle, like the text on the card it just says, if vehicle form, rescue bystander, and that's it. And then so you can still play it in your robot form, but you don't get the rescue the bystander effect. Or you've got Your uncommon, that's your typical like 5 or 6 card that's like 3 attack, and it's like via robot form you get +1 attack this turn, and that's all it is. And it's just like you have this option, and it's kind of also kind of fitting to legendary encounters in the Matrix, where like you can only do certain stuff if you're in the Matrix or you're out of the Matrix. Like this is what you get to flip that card once per turn into robot form or vehicle form, and then it's just a matter of like this is something you get to do, and you don't even have to even do anything. It's just your avatar card. It's just a card that sits there, and you could have 5 of them, right? Because it doesn't even like the card itself is irrelevant from the perspective of it's just to denote you're in robot form versus vehicle form, and you can have the artwork be 1 Optimus, 1 Bumblebee, 1 Jetfire, 1 Mirage, whatever. You can just have 5 Autobots and that's your thing, or have different ones just to flip and be. You can have even mega. You can have Decepticon ones. It doesn't matter. The main reason is just to say which form you're in for card effects, and you can. So basically, you kind of control when you get to do some of these effects or time them in such a way that like I have a lot of cards in my hand that have robot form, so I'm going to flip the robot form this turn, and then play these cards to do this effect. Or maybe you're like after you do robot form stuff, you got to flip back or something. I don't know. You could do some pretty cool things, I think. Or like maybe you can only fight somebody in robot form. So like you flip it over, the mastermind can only be fought in robot form. You can only fight the mastermind in the form that you are, or something like that, or they are. So like if they're in vehicle form, you can't fight them unless you're vehicle form. And you have to make that choice of like when do I flip between. Actually, you could do that for all the villains. You can only fight a villain in the form that they are, in the mastermind in the form that they are, and then the mastermind will flip from their master strikes or something. I don't know. I'm not a game designer, but I feel like you'd have so many options to do if you could do a legendary Transformers game. And then you could do like, so the first game would be G1 stuff. So you have like Optimus, Bumblebee, I don't even know who else, Rodimus, whatever. And then you've obviously got like Megatron as a mastermind. You can use Starscream as a mastermind, and he could lead all the other jet people. You could do, Galvatron as a separate mastermind. You could do Unicron, of course. There's Nemesis Prime. You could do these masterminds, and then you can have an expansion that's Dinobots. You can have an expansion that's the Constructicons. You can have an expansion that's the Terracons or the Predacons from Beast Wars. You could do a Beast Wars expansion and do the Maximals and Predacons. You could do. You can even do all the different Transformers and have like the Minicons that like hook up to them. You could do all kinds of stuff. You could have different versions of Megatron, because you could have the Armada Megatron with the big pincers on his head. That's the tank. You could have the original Megatron that turns to a gun. You could have the Megatron from Beast Wars. That's a Tyrannosaurus. You could do all kinds of stuff. You'd have like so many options for stuff. So it's a content rich IP. It's got a cool like through line mechanic that would differentiate it from other legendary games, while still keeping that base deck building core of like, here's your common cards, here are cards that are better, they attack or recruit, but then you have this main mechanic of transforming that lets you do different stuff depending on what form you're in. That's kind of my dream thing you could do, and then you could make several expansions and we'd be good. So if they're ever made Transformers Legendary, not only sign me up, but you're getting weekly playthroughs of that, because that sounds like a blast to me. So I want to know what you guys think would be a very fun or great IP that would be well implemented with the Legendary system. The next one that comes to mind is probably Star Wars, but I don't have as much like passion or thought about like how I would implement Star Wars. The main thing with Star Wars would probably be something with a force track, and you'd have to balance it between light and dark. And if like it got too dark, like if you got too dark, like you could do something like, if you like defeated a villain or you killed them or something, like I don't know, like some of the things you would do would like put you closer to the dark side, and maybe you'd be stronger, but like if you got all the way to the dark side, you like lost the game or something. So you'd have to do this balance of light and dark. And maybe if you got too much to the light side, you couldn't do something that you needed to win. So you have to keep a balance of it. I don't know. That would be the main kind of mechanical shtick that I think you would want to do for a Star Wars Legendary game. But yeah, I'd like to know what you guys think would be your dream IP to be implemented as a Legendary game. So that's pretty much it. I think I wanted to kind of talk about today. Really, it was really that was the main reason I wanted to do this video. So kind of looking forward for the next month or so. We've got the Bond stuff that I should be doing. If Legendary 2099 comes out for Marvel, we'll be covering that, of course. But I've got some videos that I want to record for Solo Sundays. So I've got some other games that we're going to be doing. And I want to come back on some Imperium stuff. So we may just see some of those. I've got a lot of Kickstarters. I think I'll have a lot of Kickstarters dropping in the next couple months. There's like Gloomhaven Buttons and Bugs I should be getting. Ezra and Nehemiah should be coming from Garphill. I think I have An Age Contrived, which I have no idea how to play. So that should be coming. So depending on how they line up, I could do some unboxings of some of those as a fun extra video. But yeah, there should be a lot of stuff delivering soon. But in the pipeline coming up, we're going to be doing Marvel Champions and Marvel Legendary every Tuesday and Friday like normal. Please send me your view requested for those games. I've had a lot of fun with them, like I said. And then we'll probably do some Imperium stuff just because I'm just super jazzed about it. And then we may be doing some other Solo Sundays coming with some other games and more Astronauts maybe. I have a lot of fun with Astronauts. I love deck building as a game, so as a game mechanic. So, but be on the lookout. I've got a couple things recorded already for Solo Sunday, so we'll see those soon. I need to revisit Wormspan for the Ravel mode, so we're gonna probably do that too. But there are some other games that I've been wanting to play that we're just gonna do. So we're gonna be doing those coming up. So anyway, that's gonna be all for today. Thank you guys so much. Again, it just means a lot that you guys are engaging with the videos and having a good reception to them. And I just appreciate all your feedback and I appreciate everything. So thank you guys again. Yeah, that's going to be it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.